to the K-RAD Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Chris with the K. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the show. I am so pumped, stoked, juiced, and beholden. I was excited to use that word today.
Very nice.
To have our guest here with us, Billy Harfosh.
Hello.
The one and only.
Hi. I feel like I can do this because you're like, this is a really cool studio, and you're a musical guy, and you have cool hair and stuff, so I feel like some street cred. I can do this.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, man. Thank you so much.
100%. Thank you so much for coming on. I have been following you now since, we ran into each other over at the Chandler Film Festival.
Yes, we did. Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious.
Huge crush on her. I guess we'll get right into it here. I found out that she's actually batting for the other team, mostly. She's a lesbian, which is fine, Michelle. Me and Michelle, we've got a love and hate relationship, but she is super talented, and Chandler International Film Festival, shout out. I'm excited to see what happens this year.
Yes, it should be interesting. I love doing that, every year, being a part of the team with the red carpet and, getting a chance to meet folks and help share the art in a town like Chandler. You wouldn't expect to have.
You're probably the only guy that dresses sharper than I do.
Oh, get
you
out
really
of here.
do.
You're trying to flatter me.
No, you do. You really do. And I saw you at the red carpet, and I've seen your posts, and you're out emceeing events and stuff. You do a great job. I'm so happy to be here. By the way, anybody that's never been in this studio, there's all kinds of little knickknacks. There's a Bubba Watson autograph. There's all kinds of stuff here. It's very cool. I have a nice studio as well, but I'm a little jealous. This is a really cool setup.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much. You can come here anytime, record. We've got No Sleep Studios here, launching as well. So we're just excited to have, a real professional, media person here with us.
Okay.
I'm just excited to pick your brain.
Are we live right now?
Yes, we are.
We're live. Okay, so we're live like on Facebook,
yes,
Instagram, and all that kind of stuff, and whatever, like KRADRADIO, the whole thing. So hopefully my credentials don't get revoked, because I'm supposed to be with Ivanka Trump in the morning, and we were with the president yesterday. Now, take politics out of it. I like, Colin Cowherd? He's a sportscaster.
Yes.
He always has this cool phrase. It's take the emotion out of it, and I love that phrase. It's pretty cool to be around the president. Whether you hate him, you love him, whether you're way left in the center, Democrat, Republican, it's cool, because it's like the power of the office, when you see that. And we'll be with Ivanka tomorrow, and it's a blessing to be in a state that is a swing state, that is a purple state. So no matter what side you're on, make sure you all vote, because this state right here, Arizona, could hold the election in our hands. And I believe that. I really do. It's important right now. And I know you're not, I don't know, I'm guessing you're not a political guy, you're a music guy, you're a pop culture, a cool guy. I'm into all the dorky stuff like politics.
Yeah.
So we can get on that.
I was itching, because I do a little bit of research here on my own to make sure that I'm prepared. And just for everyone, tuning in right now, so you know who Billy is. He's known for his interviews as the host of Show Up Arizona that airs across Arizona on iHeartRadio, producer of Beth and Friends morning show on 99.9 KZ, also the host of, I heard, the #1 English-speaking radio station. Former host. Shout out everybody in Barcelona.
That was a great experience, man. That was incredible. It's really weird doing a show in a foreign country in English, because you have a ceiling, in a sense. You can only broadcast to so many people that even understand your medium. But I'm happy to be back here in the States, and happy to be working for Beth McDonald, Paul Kelly, all the great people I work with, SJ on the radio, and also get to do this show called Show Up Arizona. It's like the little engine that could. It's kind of a one-man band. It started with nothing, just interviewing very small people, and it's grown in the last couple of years. And now we're covering the president, we're covering Joe Biden, we're covering an election, we're covering a pandemic, protests. I mean, we can get into it, but it feels like we're making a difference, which is a good thing to feel.
And that's that ethos came across when we first met, and that's a big part of what the reasoning why I wanted to have you on the K-RAD Radio podcast, because we're all about having rad people with rad ideas
Oh, I
on
like
the
that.
show, and you're a pretty rad guy.
Yeah, I guess I am.
To say the least.
If I'm here, I guess I am.
Facts. And I guess we'll just jump into it. I know that you've had a chance to interview and talk to Ducey, all the way to the state capitol, all the way to Senor Trumpo, Mr. Orange Man.
Yeah. It was a little disappointing, I'll be honest with you, Chris. Like yesterday, we were with the president, and he had an event, Latinos for Trump, and we were supposed to have a little, what they call a gaggle, a press gaggle. In other words, you can kind of fire off a couple questions at somebody, but it was running late, so he got out. We couldn't even get a question to the president.
No.
So we covered the event. We did our best. I interviewed somebody that was with him on the stage actually today, just before our show, before this show. And tomorrow we're going to do the same thing with Ivanka. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather ask. What was that whistle? You like it? Yeah. Was that like a Ivanka's hot thing?
It was a wow.
Oh, I thought it was Ivanka.
Down the line.
But I would rather, be honest with you, I'd rather ask Ivanka a question, only because the president he's so good at deflecting. I watch all his press conferences. Very often, you ask him a question, he answers it whatever he wants to answer. And that's a talent in itself, and I give him credit for that. But Ivanka answers direct questions, so I'm hoping to get a question to Ivanka tomorrow. It will not be "Will you marry me?" because that's disrespectful. She is married.
I want to know
Jared
about the
Kushner.
aliens. I want to know about the aliens.
Should we get weird? I might get fired
We can
tomorrow.
get weird.
I might
It's
ask
fine.
her
It's
about
fine. We
aliens.
don't want to upset the aliens or the robots. We don't
What would be your one? What would be your one question at 9:36 tomorrow morning for Ivanka Trump?
I know that your husband can't talk about the aliens, but I would like to know about the aliens.
Your father.
Where are they?
Your father.
Excuse me, your father. Wow. Well,
Freudian slip.
right, Freudian slip. But I'd be like, why hasn't anyone really talked more in depth about that whole thing?
I didn't think of that line of questioning, but I got to be honest with you. I don't think it would be that crazy. We've seen a lot of things going on. I was reading today. Do you know who Joey Diaz is?
Yeah, I love Joey Diaz.
Yeah, I love Joey Diaz. Church of What's Happening Now. There's been a lot of people, he's in New Jersey, that are posting pictures of UFOs right now. And I know you've seen some things in the military, in the Navy, the Air Force. It could be real. 2020, how many months do we got left?
Oh, man, just a
Couple
few.
months?
It's coming.
Thank God.
Another quarter.
Shit could get real, man. Could you imagine if we saw an alien in 2020? It could happen. It could happen. There is no surprises right now. I have no idea what will happen, but maybe I will ask her that question about aliens. Why not?
I bet he'd at least get a giggle.
It would get a giggle. She giggles.
Giggling.
She giggles.
Giggle. But, it's such a weird time. 2020
It
has
is.
been by far the weirdest year that I've ever been alive for.
Can I practice my question to Ivanka and pretend like it's you?
What will you
Because
ask?
you got the thing going on here.
Sure.
Okay, so what I would say is Mrs. Trump. Well, I don't want to call her Mrs. Trump because it's like Melania, and I'm not sure if they get along. Ivanka. May I call you Ivanka?
Close.
Okay. But she doesn't have an accent. That was like Melania. But anyways, Ivanka. The American people on both sides look at you as the voice of reason. If your father, President Donald J. Trump, wins this election, what is the administration's plan to bring this country together? Because at the end of the day, we all know that 50% of the country is going to be very angry. We're already calling for protests. Cities probably will be rioting. They will be burning. We all know that's going to happen on November 4th, 5th, 6th, or whenever we have a winner, okay? What is the administration's plan to bring this country together? That's what we all want, no matter the outcome.
Great question. I agree. It seems as though...
That's right. I mean, that's okay, right?
United we stand, but divided we fall. But it seems like the media, no offense, because I guess technically we are part of the media here, but it seems like most of the mainstream media would rather promote things that, would make for a divisive story, because that just seems like that's the way that the industry's gone.
And I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for, and I know there's a lot of people that ask the governor questions and the people questions that are looking for that, what I call the I gotcha moment. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for that. I'm actually looking for real questions and real answers. Like something that's going to push us forward. And I know that might sound like cliche or dorky or corny, but that's actually what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the I gotcha stuff. Why aren't you wearing a mask? Well, I don't know. She's got an answer for that. I really want a question that's relevant to our times and longevity. You know, we're in a difficult time right now, Chris. It's weird, and I know we're doing a show and we're having fun and we got a lot of things to talk about. And we're by the way, are you sponsored by Bang yet?
You know, that's my goal. Bang. If you're paying attention, I've skipped out the last couple days, but I'm doing a bang at a day in KRXS.
I'm not sure why you're not sponsored.
I think that needs to be.
But it's all fun and games, and we're all trying to, you know, have promote ourselves and work through our careers, and we're working from home and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, we're really going through a challenging time in our country, and I think that hopefully on November 4th, 5th, 6th, January 20th, whatever the date is, somehow, no matter the outcome, we can come together. That's my prayer for this country.
Do you think that's going to happen?
No, I think it's going to be a rough couple weeks. I think it's going to be a rough couple months. No matter who wins, yeah, we're going to see a lot of bad things and destruction. And I'm not saying that because I want to see that, but I think that's the reality. I mean, to be fair, right now, whatever time it is, in certain cities in the United States of America, people are protesting.
Portland, you know, they're still going. I'm not sure what day
and for a reason. Can I touch your set?
Absolutely.
And I see a Black Lives Matter slogan here, a logo, and I understand that. You know, people are protesting for good reason. People are also looting and smashing windows for a bad reason. Both sides.
Right.
Whoever wins this election, you're going to see something like probably we've never seen before. And my hope is that we can shorten that timeline to get back to some sense of normal, as opposed to, you know, becoming completely divided where it gets physical. And that's what nobody wants on either side. Whether you're a liberal, a Democrat, in the center, a conservative, Republican, or you're way right wing, nobody wants to see an armed problem in the streets. And this country is armed. You know, there's more guns in this country than there are humans. That's a fact. So be careful, stay safe, and remember that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all Americans.
And that's the frustrating thing for me to see, especially coming from people that are, you know, much older and wiser, you know, so to speak.
You're a millennial, right?
Yeah, I'm 27.
Yeah.
So watch out for me on the 27 club.
But you're a millennial. So how do you feel about this whole thing? I'm not asking you who you're voting for. That would be disrespectful. But I mean, how do you feel about younger people that are? I think half of the younger people are expressing themselves in a very peaceful way, and then you got maybe not half, but 10% that are out of line. And I'm a millennial. I'm older than you, but I'm a millennial technically. I think that part is wrong, and it's giving us a bad face right now. That's my opinion.
No, 100%. And, you know, I can tell you, I got that Black Lives Matter
logo decal
thing
there
at the Phoenix protests. And I was there with the love of my life, and we were standing up against what we believe was, you know, systematic racism and police brutality and an overexertion of force that we've seen over and over again. And regardless of whether the media is overhyping this or overhyping that, it's still a problem, and it's not okay. And I think that, you know, the overwhelming majority of folks are there for that. But as soon as you provide an outlet and an opportunity and a platform for folks to take advantage of that and go rail against capitalism in general, or, you know, just say, hey, you know what, I've had a hard time, why not? It's my turn. You know, I'm going to go, you know, riot or loot.
Yeah.
They think they're owed that. I think a lot of people feel that way. And it's not right.
I agree with everything you just said. I think I'm sort of like a socially liberal guy. I mean, I'm kind of like wide open, freedom, the whole thing. But I don't believe in burning the whole machine down.
No.
You know, That's just me. That's just me. And when you see some of the things that are happening, and I'll say it, and I hope I'm not overstepping my, your show here, taking over your head.
I love this.
The whole cancel culture, on certain levels, worries me because you're canceling people like Chris Collinsworth, he's an NFL commentator. He's a person that I've met before. He's a great guy. He's an incredible NFL player. He's a great announcer. And what he did on Sunday was he said, I stand with the players. I stand with the movement. I stand with, the systematic change needs to happen. We all understand that. Now, let's play football. That's all he said. And then you have a mob of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people on Twitter, on social media, that are trying to ruin his career. For respecting what's happening and now kind of taking a deep breath. Now I need to do my job and focus on a game.
Right.
And to me, that was okay.
100%. I don't think that what that man said, I don't know much about the story, but based off what you've told me there, the mob mentality of cancel culture, I understand it from the aspect of, hey, you're feeling powerless. What can I do here in my house, in my apartment, with my phone to try and make a difference?
Sure.
And I really do think that a lot of those folks that engage in those kind of activities may be coming or thinking that they're coming from a right place. But, you have to be able to see both sides of the coin. And it does just get too extreme with the cancel culture, and it gets too extreme with, the alternative. It's like, hey, how do you create a terrorist? You accidentally blow up his entire family.
Yeah. Well, we should talk about the alternative, because you're right, because we're going against one side. And the other side, if you go, I don't know if you want to say right, but if you go all the way on the other side, it's like nothing is wrong. We haven't seen any police brutality. We haven't seen any murders by police. That also is a problem, to say it that way. So there's a happy medium. Everything is nuanced.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really hard for our culture, because we're on teams. We're Americans. We like freedom. What I say is right. What you say is wrong. But guess what? That's not going to push us forward. I can't believe what we're going through. I mean, how old are you?
27.
27. I'm 34. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 57 and you're, I'm 64. I don't know. I don't know what this country. It's scary to say this. I'm not sure what this country is going to look like.
That's for sure.
I don't know. We really need to take a deep breath right now, pay attention, and be smart and be kind to your fellow American, whether you're at the grocery store, or you're at the post office, you're in your apartment building. Just be kind. Just be kind.
Yeah, 100%. Either side of the coin, a healthy conversation, it should be encouraged.
Yeah.
And that's what this is
if
for.
we disagree, I'm not going to hate you.
You can have your opinion. I can have mine. That's okay.
We'll still be drinking a Sprite Light or a Diet Sprite, whatever we're drinking here.
Yeah.
A Dr. Pepper.
We'll
still drink a Diet Dr. Pepper afterwards. But I think there is something to that these conversations are being canceled. You've seen podcasts. Joey Diaz, we just mentioned, he was canceled because of a remark he made of sexual nature that was off color in a story that he told. You're going to cancel his whole career? I'm not down with it, man. I'm down with the movement. I'm down with change. I'm down with protesting in a peaceful way, but I'm not down with ruining people's lives because they made a comment on a podcast.
100,000,000,000%. Nobody's perfect. Anybody out there that has ever made a mistake can relate. And if you've never made a mistake, nice to meet you. Jesus, I think was his name, right? Well, I don't know, but
right.
We're all flawed, and I think that if anything, now should be a time where the people are coming together and having healthy discussions. And as soon as you throw a team onto the side, like mask versus no mask, I don't know where that's gone in terms of which state you're in, but I can tell you for sure that here in Arizona we're a lot more lax than in states like California, and that's fine, I guess, but at the same time I still think, hey, why not rock the thing, and if it causes an issue, then remove it, but why not play it safe until we know that there's a solution? Seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you're a young guy. You're a talented gentleman. We've got to know each other, and you have what I can see, other than the Bang sponsorship that's coming, an independent format where you can express yourself. Now, that's a lot of power. In fact, that's more power than people have on, my buddy Lester Holt on the nightly news. He can't express himself the way you can. So people are starting to look for alternative options as far as media goes. People are looking for someone that is not owned. Someone that can be totally open and express their opinion like we're doing right here. You can't be canceled. They want to cancel you right now on this because of something I said or something you said. Good luck. You're going to do your show again next week.
Let's calm down. Let's not cause a mob.
Well, I'm just saying, you can't be canceled.
Right. That's why I wanted to do it this way, was because I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, and he's kind of who I model my ethos on after.
Yes.
Because, I'm an artist, I'm a podcaster, I'm an MC, I book live shows, and I'm also, I have a full-time job.
Right.
And I have to balance all of those things, trying to figure out how to make a living outside of that. And that's where I'm trying to bridge the gap. But you're right, there is a lot of power in the DIY. And
it is. There's so much power in the DIY. Let's get into Joe Rogan. Let's get into the modern day Johnny Carson, as I like to say. Did you see the news yesterday about Joe Rogan? In fact, that was my question for the president. They're asking to do a debate. Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, 4 hours, moderated by Joe Rogan. And what that means is he probably would have no questions. It's just like, hey guys, good, nice suit, nice tie, Joe, nice tie, Donald. Start talking. The American people deserve 4 hours of you two older men sitting here in a small room talk. I don't have a question for you. Just talk it out and then let the voters decide. What is wrong with that?
That is a potential solution to help bring the country together.
Let them decide on the issues. Just talk, like we're doing right now.
Middlemen. There's too many, and that's again the problem that I see with politics in general. Just as an outsider looking in, the reason I'll be honest, as a millennial, I don't watch cable. I don't watch the news every night, every day. I feel like I'm pretty happy. I get my news from Reddit, from the internet, from Twitter, and if there's something really big going on, like I'm gonna hear about it from those platforms, and there's less, at least on the surface level, a less interference, it seems like, with third parties.
The amount of interference in a presidential debate is ridiculous. It goes all the way to what commercials are playing during that debate, what pharmaceutical companies are advertising, NBC News versus ABC versus MSNBC versus Fox. That's where you get the questions from. It's ridiculous. We're just Americans. We just want to know what's happening. And I proposed a debate. I had Martha McSally on my show numerous times, and I think Martha's a wonderful woman. I also had Daniel McCarthy on my show, who was running against Martha in the Republican primary. He challenged her to a debate on my show, an open discussion with me. Nobody owns me.
Right.
It would have been an open discussion. She wouldn't do it.
You know why?
Well,
dollar bills.
Well, it's dollar bills, but they also don't want a moment like this where they're kind of swimming in the sea and they might say something that could crumble their campaign.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, just be a good human, stand up for what you believe in, state your case and move on. And I think if we had that on the the Senate level would be great, but on the presidential level, I'm not so sure it's that outlandish. I'll be honest with you, Chris. If Joe Biden will agree to a debate on Joe Rogan's podcast, I know for a fact, and this is coming from the Trump campaign, who I have on my show very often, and I have Biden campaign too. If Joe Biden agrees, I will guarantee you 1,000% for everyone here, that will go down. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, will be in Austin, Texas, debating Joe Biden for 4 hours with very little moderation, with very little questions, with no sponsors, with no money influence. And don't talk to me about the $500 million from Spotify. Joe Rogan is not a sellout.
Hell no.
Right? That is what the American people want. So I'm going to just put that out there into the ether. Do what you may.
Do it, Joe. You inspired me, so I'm here. Want to follow in your footsteps. So if I were in your position, I would do it. And I know that that's going to suck, and I know that's going to bring a lot of heat, and I know you don't want that kind of attention, because who does? But I'm telling you, the country needs you, and the country needs some way to see that both sides at the highest level can have a conversation.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that be cool? MC and Kellogg's have to think about the situation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in their shareholders. Like, that's not what it's about. It's
Wouldn't
about
that be
human to
cool?
human at this marketplace, you know? When people are wearing masks or not wearing masks, and they get in a huge fight. And it's like, hold on, like, that guy used to be that guy's baseball coach, and like, why are you guys fighting? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's so disgusting.
Did you watch the 16 debates with Hillary and Trump?
I did not.
Okay, so you have moments of Trump standing over her. You have these, we go back to these I gotcha moments and these sound bites, and Hillary hit him, and then Trump hit him back, and it's like a Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson prize fight. That doesn't mean anything. Just sit down and talk. What is your plan for healthcare? What is my plan for healthcare? Do you want to rip down my wall? Why? You know, whatever. Sit down. The border wall, that should be a 2-hour conversation. And let's see the two men, in this case, who are planning on leading the free world in an open format. Well, what are we doing here? This is the most important conversation in the history of the world. Why can't we have... I think that American people should demand that.
We deserve that. I agree 1,000%. I think
maybe even here on this podcast.
Do it here.
Joe, if you don't want to do it, we'll do it here.
We'll do it here at the KRADRADIO podcast.
As Bill O'Reilly says, we'll do it live.
Actually said, fuck it. We'll do it live.
Oh, we can swear here?
They're turning the frogs.
Can we swear?
Alex Jones.
Hello.
They say a no word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can say F, but we can't say Alex.
Got it.
No, we can say whatever you want. I don't care.
Facts. But
we can get an Alex Jones.
Man, it just...
I mean, he's another one. He got canceled. Now, I will say something. I want to say something. There's a difference between getting canceled for, like Chris Collinsworth, the NFL commentator, for saying, let's play football, and saying the statements that Alex Jones did say about...
Sandy Hook.
Google it, about Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
There's a difference there. You know, if you go and say that, or if I go and say that tonight, or some stupid stuff... You should get canceled, because that's disrespect. And Skip Bayless is another one. He just said some things about depression. I mean, I know you want to talk about depression and suicide that's crushing our state right now in our country, but there's reasons to cancel people. There's also reasons to just take a deep breath and be cool.
Right.
I'm going to have another Sprite, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And in this moment, we'll go ahead and take a break here and just say thank you for those that are tuning in right now. Again, I'm your host, Chris with the K, host of the K-RAD Radio podcast, the monthly podcast with rad people with rad ideas. And we're here with Billy Harfosh, you know, kind of letting it whirl. We're really close to this election, and, you know, I definitely have a few more questions to ask. We're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break, set up something really cool, and we'll be right back with you guys, okay?
Regrets, reset, I'm numb, you're dead, like I'm numb, like you're dead, like I'm numb, like you're dead. Regrets, reset, I'm numb, you're dead, like I'm numb, like you're dead.
We are back.
We're back.
On the K-RAD Radio podcast. I'm your host, Chris with the K, and I am here with the insatiable Billy Harfosh.
Hello.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, for real. Thank you guys.
You know what I like about this show? It's like, you don't feel like... Okay, I know, like, you do the show and we're live or whatever, but you don't feel like you have to just be, like, so tight. Like, keep everything... With my show, it's like everything has to be boom. Because if there's, like, one little second of, like, dead air or, like, a breath or, like, we have a moment together or we're, like, get a little confused or there's a technology problem, it's a disaster. With this, it's like, we're just hanging out. We're just two, like, average dudes. And that's how it should be.
100%. Thank you for saying that. Because, you know, sometimes I stumble into sentences and I don't really know where it's going to go. but I figured it out along the way.
Yeah.
Just like Michael Scott. So one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk more about music with you. I know
Let's
music
do
is
it.
a passion of yours too.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm not as well versed as you, but we could talk a little bit about tunes.
I like this conversation. I like where we're going. Who are you listening to?
All right. So, okay. So I am a huge, avid Dave Matthews Band fan. I've been to I'm going to put it at 35. It's probably more like 45 because there's probably 10 shows in there that I don't remember. But this is, my first show was 1998. I was a young lad. I was born in 85, so do the math. 1998, and it was at Vernon Downs in outside of Vernon, New York, for my Syracuse people there. And it's a funny story because, there's this band that came on the stage, and there was like thousands of people there, like, I don't know, 15,000, 20,000 people there, and everybody had their blankets, and everybody was like eating cheese and drinking. I wasn't drinking. I was way too young. Honestly, I wasn't drinking.
Sure.
And people were like, smoking weed and stuff, and I was just like sitting there like, this was the first concert as a young kid that I'd ever been to.
Wow.
And I was with like some friends in my neighborhood, but they were much older, they were like 16, 17, 18. And we were all sitting there kind of like eating cheese, and they were like trying to find a beer. And I knew nothing about the whole crowd or the whole world. And this band came out, and they were like pretty good, and there was like, and I was like, so I went to my buddy who lived in my neighborhood. I go, man, this Dave Matthews Band, man, they're really good. He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, this isn't the Dave Matthews Band. I never knew what it was. It was an opener. I never heard of an opener.
Yeah.
And it was like this kind of cool, like probably local band. I'm sorry, but 1998, Vernon Downs, New York. And they were probably a good band, but I thought that was the main band. I'd never been to a real concert. And then the sun went down. It was a huge break. And then Dave Matthews Band came out. And it, as corny as it sounds, it changed my life forever. Because when they came out, it was like I was in this whole other atmosphere. I was seeing things I never saw. I was smelling things I never smelled. I was hearing things I never heard. And I was a fan. It was that. It was your glasses. It was that. And ever since then, probably 30 shows, I don't know, 40 shows, who knows how many shows later, I've been a fan. And it's been, fast forward to the Innings Fest. I was telling you off the air, that was my last interview, was interviewing bands at the Innings Fest right here in Tempe, Arizona, interviewing OAR, and like Dave Matthews Band, we didn't get to interview, but they're in the trailer right next door. Wow. And I was like, that's full circle. That's where my love of music started. And I'm interviewing OAR, and it's just been beautiful. It's beautiful. There's nothing better to me than like kind of jam band music. It's all love, and I think we need more of that right now. I cannot wait till this pandemic is over. We can all take off our masks and go, get a little weird at a festival.
100%. Fuck the pandemic and fuck 2020.
Right?
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And
well, what about you? Who's your go-to?
Man, well, right now I've been listening to a lot of, Post Malone, a lot of, what's their name? Now I'm blanking. I've been listening to my own music a lot, honestly. It's just like,
good for you,
grinding so much and so hard. It's like stuff's finally, coming out.
Shout it out. What's your tune? What's the one? We just listened to it earlier. Regrets. Dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm a radio guy. That's catchy as fuck. It's very catchy. PDs out there, program directors, hit this guy up. That's very, very catchy. You mentioned Post Malone. It's from my hometown, Syracuse, New York. Face tats and everything. I'm going to get mine very soon.
Together?
No.
We'll get them together?
No.
No?
Maybe.
Come on. All right.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe. But I will say, his new-ish tune, Circle, is not that new.
Love that song.
I'm telling you, man, you can just jam to that. And there's a lot of people that we play that song for that don't even know who Post Malone is, that are not hip-hop fans, they're not any kind of fans of Post Malone. You put that song on, people just jam. I love Post Malone, man. He's a hometown boy, man. Syracuse, New York. Do not disrespect Syracuse, because we got a lot of talent coming out of there.
100%. I mean,
insert Post Malone.
Boom.
There you go. See what we did there? Do it in post, Malone. Do it in post. Post Malone.
My mama calls, see you on TV. Yeah, I wanted to just like identify with you for a second on like the first show experience.
Let's go deep.
Like, that was got that inside joke.
Hey,
Going Deep with Billy Harfosh.
Go ahead, let's do it. Let's go. Hit me.
The Foo Fighters were my first show ever when I was 15, and I remember that same, kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing, there's all these people here, and it's at the Rose Garden, and, where the Trailblazers playing from Oregon, and it was that same kind of, that feeling of like, wonderment, and you're like, what's that? What is that? You don't even know what weed smells like yet,
At the senses, everything.
Mm-hmm. Sweat.
And do you remember, like, and you knew the Foo Fighters, right, at that time? Like, you were there to see.
I didn't really know them that
You didn't really know them. So it was a similar experience.
Exactly. It's very similar.
But when a band or an artist of that caliber hits the stage, it doesn't matter who they are. I don't care if it's Rihanna, Lady Gaga, the Foo Fighters statement. When they hit the stage, you have to respect the talent. When you see something like that, it's like... And it opened my whole world to music and to everything. And the Foo Fighters are obviously, incredible. I think there's a lot of that we're missing today. Well, I'm not even talking about the pandemic, but there's a lot of artists that are more show than substance, and I won't name names because we play them on our radio. And they're great on the radio, and they're great on Spotify, but they don't have that same, like when the Foo Fighters play, they're breaking strings. Right. When Dave plays, his voice, he's getting cortisone shots in his neck. He's switching guitars constantly because he sweated too much. That does not happen that much anymore. And I think people are respecting more of the technology in the Spotify and the radio versus that live show, that grind, that dirty T-shirt, that 10th festival in 5 days. Kids don't see that as much anymore.
100%, I agree, 1,000%. Because a lot of the times it's someone that can't even really play an instrument. They just have a look and an image, and it's a marketing thing. And it's like, they can do autotune, and their uncle's rich, and they know someone.
Right.
Cool. Little whatever.
Right.
And I think that's a really key point because. When you look at bands that did it just in a smaller, maybe not as big as Dave Matthews Band or the Foo Fighters, but like Blink-182, or you look at some of the pop punk bands, throughout the years that are still doing it to this day, like that's why I was drawn to the genre, because it's like they're real artists, like on a grind, making music that not everybody's gonna like, and music that doesn't always get played on the radio, but they're out there making money, doing the shows, grinding it out.
Right.
And when I saw Dave the first time come out, I didn't know someone could be that cool. I didn't know someone existed.
No.
And it's like, this is his job? I want to do that. I want that guy's job. How did he do that?
Right. And Dave gets a lot of hate, whatever. There's a whole cult following Dave Matthews Band. There's a whole anti-Dave Matthews Band. But I'm going to give you something, and this might make news. I'm going to tell you about a current, as of 2 weeks ago, a porn star that I interviewed. And this man is a former musician, a former, what would you say, child prodigy, Aaron Carter. Aaron Carter, as everybody knows Aaron Carter, I got a chance to interview Aaron Carter backstage after his performance in Phoenix.
And a porn performance or a music performance?
No, this was music. But he's now on, I won't plug the site, but there's a site, there's a thing, there's an app that's kind of like a porn app.
Sure.
The Aaron's on now. I don't even know the name. Actually, I'm blanking. But he's a good example. I'm not going to hate on Aaron. I like Aaron, and Aaron and I we've had our differences, and he's had his problems with different things, and the face tattoo, and the drugs, and the whole thing. But Aaron's a good guy. He is. I got to sit down with him. I got to talk to him. I got to know him. It was very late at night. He was very gracious with his time. But he's the type of person that you think he is who we're talking about. In other words, someone that's kind of a pretty boy, that was a child star, that is going off of his Backstreet Boy brother, that he kind of got rich, whatever, early from Candy, his early song. And that all of that is true, but he's also very talented. And that's what I learned that night. there's a difference, and Miley Cyrus is another one. A lot of people hate on Miley. Taylor Swift is another one. Go turn off this video after this and go watch Taylor Swift Tiny Desk concert. Taylor Swift is extremely talented. But when I saw Aaron Carter up close and personal, I got to talk to him about music, not about porn, but about music. I realized that this man is a musical genius, and there's a reason why. Okay, he's not Bruno Mars. He'll never be Michael Jackson. He'll never be Prince. But in his world, under his umbrella, he's a talented guy. Has he made the best decisions in the world? No. Have I? No. Have you? Maybe. Those glasses are nice. But everybody needs to stay in their lane and respect talented people. If you're on that level, you're talented, and you're known for a reason, And I was talking to one of my colleagues today about Miley Cyrus, Taylor Swift, and also Britney Spears, who's been releasing these crazy Instagram videos dancing, and people are like, Britney Spears she's off the rails, she's gonna shave her head again, she's crazy. Britney's a talented woman. She really is. Hate if you want to hate.
I love that was like dead ass. That's the thing. When I was a kid, we used to have the neighborhood kids over, and we would bump.
Baby,
I did it again.
Oops, yeah.
One more time.
Baby.
Bye. Hey, no shame. We would do it. That was the first experience of we're like the show, and doing that whole thing. Neighborhood girl came over with
because it was cool in a sense, and I guess my point to this whole rant is you got to understand that even though somebody right now might not be in the mainstream and might not be hip or whatever you want to say, it doesn't mean back in the day they weren't great. Insert Blink-182, who I think, man, if you want to get down and want to jam out with your friends, Blink-182 is awesome, and their drummer is probably one of the top 3 in the world right now living. What's his name? Travis.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from the best musicians that I know personally, that Travis is the man. So you can hate if you want to hate, but just because somebody looks pretty and made money doesn't mean they're not extremely talented.
Exactly. Most people that meet me think that I'm a douchebag on initial thing because they're like, wow, that guy's good looking, and I'm just gonna not like him.
I didn't want to say that part, but that's what I was going for,
Well, and you're a beautiful human being
it's
as well.
True.
And I'm sure that happens to you sometimes too. Where it's
all the time.
People have it's that don't judge a book by its cover kind of a thing. But then when it's personified by
just because we're sexy doesn't mean we're not talented.
You can be sexy and talented. Cheers to that.
But there is something to that, and I do want to say, if this gets blasted out there, this clip, that I understand that Aaron has been going through some mental health issues and all that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, he's a good guy, and he has a lot of bills to pay, and he's got a lot of women to pay, and he has contracts and all that, and he's doing what he can to stay afloat. But I'll tell you one thing, when I saw Aaron Carter perform live and when I interviewed him, that's a talented man. So I support you, Aaron.
That's fair.
Kisses.
Well, I don't know the story, but I do love candy. And, you brought up a really poignant thing, too, with, people talking about mental health and, real issues with their music,
Let's do it.
And, that was something for me that I wanted to do with my art, because I feel like there's so many real things. And when you have a platform and a bunch of kids listening to you, and you're rapping about cars and money and drugs, and, that's it, though, it's what's your impact? And that's why I really respect artists in the hip-hop lane like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and, those true lyricists that came from nowhere. They don't have a writing staff. Eminem, it's some of the greatest artists of all time. And, there's that contrast of you got to have the fun, happy-go-lucky, you don't care type music, because who wants to worry about their problems all the time? But when it comes down to it, when you're alone in your room and you're alone in your car, you want to listen to something that you can relate to. And when you just take garbage in, you're going to get garbage out.
Yeah, you're right. We can sit here and joke all day and make fun and have fun and whatever, have drinks. But there's a real problem right now in our state, in our country. And I think we talked about this earlier. I'm not going to quote numbers because I'm sure you all are going to Google it and get it right. But suicide and depression right now in our country, probably and obviously because of the pandemic, COVID-19, it's a real problem. I mean, this is not a joke. The numbers that they're projecting, and they haven't confirmed all the death certificates. The numbers that they're projecting are possibly double of last year. And this is not something to, make light of or make fun of. People are hurting right now. And I'm going to tell you something, Chris. From my personal standpoint, I've had moments, not suicidal, nothing depressing or would be clinically sought as depression, but I've had moments where it's gotten weird. Like, I just want things to go back to normal. Mm-hmm. I want to go into the kitchen at work and see food. I want to meet my buddy for a beer and not worry about walking to the bathroom without a mask on.
Did I not?
Whatever, the littlest, stupidest things. To me, they're not little and stupid, and I get this. Maybe some of you out there can understand this overwhelming feeling that comes through from the top of my head through my body of, I just want it to go back to normal, So, now, I'm not somebody that struggles with a depression, and I'm not suicidal, but I can see how if you were teetering, you were somewhere on that seesaw, this whole thing, all this bullshit, this difficulty we're going through can push you there,
100%. Do you mind if I
interject
real quick?
Please.
You see how you had to take a second to say, I don't have this, but I know, and that's totally fine. But the fact, specifically with men's mental health, is so difficult to talk to because it's such a cultural thing where it's like, we're not allowed to show weakness. A man is this and a woman is that. And it's so ingrained that it's like, fuck, man, I get depressed. I cry. It happens. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so frustrating that, oftentimes those emotions get turned into rage and, then you fill it with alcohol, you fill it with drugs, you fill it with something to numb it out, to, avoid it instead of processing it. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just the way that, we've all kind of been taught of what this is and what that is. And I think that same thing goes with gender norms, and the same thing goes with people that are struggling with their sexuality and stuff. And everyone's going through a hard time. Just be kind. Oh my God, I wish that it was easier for, everyone, but specifically men too. Like, it's so hard to talk about.
You hit it. It's a masculine thing. And I think the other side of this is not something that I brought upon myself. This is not something that you brought upon yourself or she brought upon herself. This is something that was pushed on. I mean, nobody created this virus. I mean, okay, somebody might have created this virus, but I'm saying all of us watching, there was no maliciousness here. There was no terrorism here. This is something that happened to us as a people, as humans, as a global population. And I think in a weird way, and I'm from New York and I've been through 9/11, the whole thing, it almost makes it more difficult because there's not anybody to point the finger at. And that's what makes it scary. And that's what makes it unknown. When are we going to come out? What's next? And I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking for myself. And I'm blessed that I have a good family. I've got good friends. I have a great job, and I got a decent head on my shoulders where I can take a deep breath. But man, I know people that are way smarter than me and way more professional and way more successful and have way more money than I have, and they're struggling right now. So just keep your eyes open. Take care of your friends right now. This is no joke.
It's real. It's so real. You're right. That's a really good point. And, money can't buy happiness, and, it's the small group of people that you surround yourself with have such a big impact. And especially now, when you can't go out and find new friends, or it's harder to do that,
That's a good point.
When they're all alone, it's like, what do you do when you're the only person in this small town of like 75 people? It's like, cool, I'll talk to the cow, or it's like, for rural folks, or for, people that maybe can't afford medication, or they don't, because then there's also that whole stigma with, antidepressants, or with, which is a whole scary, different, kind of a thing to talk about. But
listen, let me tell you something real quick. My brother and my sister-in-law, they live in Hoboken, New Jersey. If you know Hoboken, that's right on the Hudson River, right? Their view is Manhattan, right? 6 months ago, they're the center of the universe. They want to step out of their apartment. They're in Party Central. They're in, whatever you want to do, it's there. Right now, they both work for big companies. They work at home. There's no going out for dinners. There's no going out for drinks. There's no going out to Central Park and Times Square and la la la. Shit is boarded up. So it doesn't matter whether you're in LA, you're in Portland, you're in New York City. Right now, people are working from home. So just because you're in one of those cool, Phoenix, Scottsdale, one of those quote-unquote cool places, it doesn't mean you're not lonely. We're all doing this shit on Zoom right now. In my opinion, that's not healthy. That's not sustainable. You might feel good drinking a pina colada at the pool while you're on Zoom and trying to sell insurance, but man, fast forward 10 years from now, you want to go see Jim, you want to go see Jill in the kitchen and have a club sandwich. We need to get back to normal, guys. This online stuff is fine. I like it too. I like to work online once in a while. I get to stay home. I get to, whatever. I don't have to drive to work. But this should not be our new normal. There's no such thing as a new normal. It's called abnormal. Yeah. New normal. That's a misnomer or whatever. Grammar people. Bullshit. New normal. It's called abnormal. I think we all need to hit the pause button. Let's get healthy. Let's stay safe. Let's get through this election. And when all this shit is over, let's get back to the American way.
Music, Joe Rogan, and probably lots of partying. But
am I
getting together with your friends again.
Are we making sense?
Yes.
Because it feels cool right now. I want to sit in my pool with a Chardonnay and do my little sales, whatever you got to do on your computer. But guys, that's not cool 10 years from now.
It's the Tiger King time of pandemic.
Exactly.
When it was new and fun, and we're like, wow,
it's not fun anymore. Let's get healthy, get through the election. There's a lot of changes going on. Stay kind to your family, your friends, and your community, and then let's get beyond this.
Agreed.
That's the message.
Billy,
it's my message.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
How fun.
Please come back. Will you come back?
I love it. If I can say the F word, I will come back every time.
Fuckity fuck, yes.
Frank Sinatra.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the K-RAD Radio podcast. I'm your host, Chris with a K. Stay safe and text a loved one and or call them and let them know that everything's going to be okay and that you care about them, because that's rad. Please also check out Billy's show, Show Up Arizona, as well as all of the other links that'll be in the bio here underneath the video. And please go check out my music as well. So appreciate you guys.